Welcome back, everybody, to a long overdue next episode of The Goal Line Stand. Andrew Spaziano, the esteemed Tom Condi here.
What's up?
He's sticking out very much in a bright orange baseball shirt today.
Yeah, I'm representing my old tourney team. These past few weeks, I know we haven't been on these waves in a while, probably for like a good solid month now. I think,
yeah,
right?
because I went away, and then you've been tearing it up on a softball diamond.
Yes, that's what I'm representing today is last year's tourney team, Dirty Birds. And like you said, I am a big softball guy, play league play and tourney, so that's what I've been doing for my month. And you've been traveling.
Yeah, I went to Florida for 10 days, went to see my grandparents, went to Disney. I absolutely have almost guaranteed the fact that I will have skin cancer at some point because I absolutely demolished my shoulders one day at the beach. But that was a good time, But I have missed making my voice known to the wider world.
Yeah, 10 days though, huh?
Yeah.
Good thing no hurricanes came through.
Man, it's always the risk. We always end up going in the summer because, we'll be able to go at different times now because my brother's going into college. But, because he has to be out of school when we go, and I don't know. We've never run into a hurricane. We just have really good luck. But that's
good for you.
Yeah, right.
Lucky. Yeah, I'll probably get skin cancer myself. Being out in the midday sun multiple days of the week and throwing my arm out. Probably have rotator cuff surgery at the young age of 32 or something like that.
Or maybe Tommy John if you're lucky. Although you guys do underhand, right?
Yeah.
You were all right with the elbow at least.
Yeah, it's underhand for pitching. So
your shoulder will be a mess. You'll be a good old Chad Pennington to tie it into what we talk about here.
Chad Pennington, whew.
Yeah, that takes me back.
He was pretty decent. If they could have built around Chad Pennington.
Yeah, he
could have been a contributor in the AFC East.
He was a good quarterback. The problem is the injuries. I mean, there's just so much you can control, and even the fact that he had like 2 or 3 rotator cuff injuries, like he still played for a long time.
Yeah, it's just one of those injuries. It's like, shit, if the Chargers knew Drew Brees was going to bounce back the way he did, do you think they ever, let him go into the free agent market?
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
But
it's just the luck of the draw, because for every Chad Pennington, a couple of those, there's always a Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Who bounces back from an injury, and hey.
No, exactly.
He's a walking legend.
Yeah. I think the problem with Pennington is that at some point you just lose the zip on the ball. Like if you have that much work on your shoulder, like you can throw. It's just a question if you're going to have the same velocity. And that's what I'm really curious to see about Andrew Luck this year. Hasn't played for a year. He had all that work done, went to Europe, came back. I want to see, I think he'll be able to throw the ball. I want to know how well he's able to throw the ball. Is he able to be the same guy he was? Because it's the same thing. You don't know. You never know when these guys have those kind of injuries. If it's going to linger, or if you're going to be Drew Brees, it's never going to bother you again. I mean, you don't know.
You're right. He can watch film and mentally prepare himself for all these types of situations, but until he puts his body through it, throwing the ball repetitive, weekly, day in, day out, we don't know what Andrew Luck's going to look like.
No, definitely.
I hope he has a speedy recovery. Hey, if he comes back 100%, that's a 10-win team right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've definitely I like their draft, so I think they'll end up being a lot more of a. Well, they were competitive last year, so I don't want to use the word competitive, but
it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade over Jacoby.
Absolutely. But
and especially in that division, too. I mean, I'm not trying to sleep or not give credit to Houston, but, I mean, come on. That before Andrew went down, that was the Colts' division.
Yeah, I mean, the roster deteriorated, though, because they made the AFC Championship game in 14, and then they were like the Super Bowl favorites the year after. Everybody had them going, and he got hurt. He was banged up, but their roster also, they didn't address needs along the trenches on both sides and whatnot. So, yeah, if he's healthy this whole time, they're definitely in at least a wild card hunt all these years. They're not third pick in the draft, fourth pick in the draft this year. So they're not that bad, obviously, but I still think they'd have issues.
Having a high caliber quarterback like Andrew Luck definitely masks deficiency in your team. That's all I'm saying. I just think with Houston always trying to find their quarterback, I mean, Tennessee's Tennessee, and, well, Jacksonville is the new top cat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pun intended.
Yeah. That whole division is just,
Interesting.
yeah, especially if he comes back healthy.
No, absolutely.
So a quarterback that's not having health issues is Mahomes, and word out of Kansas City is Andy Reid is comparing him to Favre.
Sounds like a lot of hyperbole right there.
Right? Yeah, whatever. That means he's going to throw 3 touchdowns, but he'll throw 2 pick sixes.
Yeah, he will lead them to a 12-win season, but when the chips are down in the playoffs, he'll throw a pick six to lose. That's basically what that means.
And then with money, we got Vince McMahon, a little bit of XFL. Vince McMahon willing to spend $500 million.
Which is like nothing.
Yeah, it's just a drop in the bucket for him, I guess.
The NFL, yeah, it's true. The NFL is like a $17-18 billion a year industry. He's like, I'll throw up $500 million. It's like, okay, Vince, like that's cute. Like, you know what though? Just to kind of expound on this a little bit, I was talking to somebody and they brought up a good point about this. Is if Vince can actually do this right, he has a chance of actually, like, he has a chance of creating something that might last, because I think the league's supposed to start in 2021, 2020, something like that.
Yeah, I don't have the details in front of me.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
in that time frame, but it's also around the same time the CBA is going to run out for the NFL, and a lot of the signs right now say there's going to be some sort of a work stoppage because the players' union and the league are at such odds with each other, between the anthem stuff, between money, guaranteed contracts. I mean, it's kind of all over the place that they're really far apart on things, and maybe things get better in the next few years, but I think they're going to come to a head where I don't know if the season will be canceled, but I think there's a potential to not have training camp, maybe some games get canceled. I don't know. But I think if that happens, I think there's a chance where if the XFL comes in, and if they're taking their time, which they are, and they do it right, I think they have a chance to actually make something. And what happens once the NFL gets back going again, I don't know. But I think if you can at least tap into that market and establish yourself as a legit league, I mean, it could get interesting. So that's the only thing I really have to say about that. It's a lot of speculation and, just kind of wait and see.
Yeah, we do have a lot of time before they do kick off, but what it sounds like is they're setting their foundation and their arrow is pointing up, which that's all you really want. And especially right now as diehard NFL fans, these last couple months have just kind of been draggy. I mean, you have your camps, you have your rookie voluntary camps and all that hogwash and whatnot.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Stuff doesn't really hit the ground running until August.
Yeah.
And if the XFL can capitalize on these dead months, so to speak, especially with basketball, I know this isn't a basketball show, but especially when football ends, people like to go into the basketball and they'll follow their hockey and, those other weird sports. But anyways, it's like the XFL does have a time frame where right after the NFL draft and leading up to the preseason, if they can capitalize on those few months, they can be successful and dip into that market.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that if you can, there's a window from about March to July where you really can carve out a niche for football potentially, and I think it's, obviously the USFL did this back in the day, and then Donald Trump killed it, which is one of my favorite catchphrases between sports and politics, that he killed spring football. Great 30 for 30 about it. I encourage that you watch it. Anyways, they showed that it was kind of viable, that you could do that people would watch, and it lasted for 3 or 4 years, and it had a following. I mean, obviously every team wasn't successful. Teams were moving and going bankrupt, but at that time in the mid 80s or so, or the early 80s, it showed that you could play football in the spring and that people would care. So that'd be interesting, just their approach to it.
And Vince has had his battles. You can say whatever you want about WWE. You can make fun of it with wrestling or whatever you want, but it's a market that's worldwide, and he knows how to capitalize on it. And with that being said, he sees this XFL as a good venture with his money, especially with $500 million on the line already. He's one of the top guys that if you want somebody to steamroll something new, pave a new path, Vince can see things through, especially through thick and thin.
Yeah, I mean, as a guy, personally, I don't mess with any of the WWE. It's just not my thing or whatever. But, I know Vince McMahon. I know the name. And I think the one thing I can definitely give him a lot of credit for is he's a very good promoter. Very good marketer.
In the 90s, he went toe-to-toe with WCW and the TBS network, I want to say. And, well, we know who won that. WWE is still standing. Where's WCW? Well, they got bought out by Vince. So it's just, if he hits it, he could be into a perfect storm, so to speak, especially with the CBA and all that other stuff with the NFL that I know that's far out, and I'll have to read up on it and all that litigation. So
yeah, it's still a few years off, like you were saying.
Now, with this off season, we have quite a few changes. We have this in the NFL. We have 4 new refs coming in. We have a new helmet rule. There was a very good article written by Bleacher Report.
Yeah, it was Mike Freeman.
Mike Freeman. I want to say at the beginning of the week, so it might be still at the top of the headlines. It
actually came out yesterday.
Oh.
So we're recording on Saturday the 30th. It came out the 29th. So it's actually, it's kind of buried down the page a little bit because, as things do, but it's a very good read.
Excellent read. And the thing with that he touches upon is, not only do we have 4 new refs, now to give you a little tidbit, asterisk, whatever you want to call it, these 4 new refs are virgin in the NFL, and not only that, but first-year referees are not eligible to partake in the playoffs. So now with that being said, you have to dig into that veteran referee well. Now, for these crucial playoff games, coaches are going to tell their team, I mean, they tell them all the time, but especially this year more than any, is that you're going to have bad calls and don't leave the games up to the refs, because now you're digging into these refs that aren't usually playoff caliber.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like how many refs there are like in the league. I want to say this is a spitball
There's
number.
17 full-time.
I'm just trying to think like total, because how many like refs are there in a crew? There's like 7 or 8 maybe. Like, because they have some alternates, then you have to have enough for each thing. So that's like 16. So I must say there's around like 80 to 100 refs. Then like you're saying, I don't know how many are full-time. I don't know how many are part-time.
There's 17 full-time refs.
Okay.
And that number just bumped up because the referees union wanted more full-time. And full-time means they don't work elsewhere.
Yep.
Now, of these 17, sorry, hold on. Let's say the 100 that you just said?
Yeah, roughly.
So only 17 are full-time. That means the other ones have to have other jobs.
They do other stuff.
So go ahead.
Okay.
I was giving you the numbers.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that if you think about how it is now with the league, and, there's always a big, like you're saying with the postseason, there's a big impact of how you're selected depending on your performance and whatnot. But to your point, if there's 4 less candidates in that pool, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out with, guys that necessarily in past years wouldn't have been on a playoff crew, but because they have 4 less options are bumped into that slot. So I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily like a huge thing. I mean, it could certainly be impactful.
What's not a huge thing?
Just like having those 4 less.
Oh, it's huge.
You think so?
Referees aren't like other officials. Those are the guys that wear the white hat.
Oh,
Those
shoot.
those are the
All
guys
right.
that run
This
the
is
game.
this is where we're having a disconnect because I'm just thinking officials in general.
No.
So there's
no.
17. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm all right. I've come full circle here.
Yep.
So four.
So
of,
the guys that speak to the audience, the guy that when,
Yup.
when a flag is thrown, they're looking dead you in
So
the
they've
eye,
got- they've got-
watching television.
they've got 4 new referees, not just 4 new
I got
officials.
the names right here. Gone are Jeff Triplett, Ed Hockley, Gene. I'm
Senator.
sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
And Terry
Macaulay.
Macaulay.
Okay.
Those are your 4 that are gone. And little asterisk for you, they might not be alone because Walt Anderson, Walt Coleman, Pete Morelli, and Tony Correnti could be walking away within the next year or 2.
That's crazy. You know what? I can't believe Walt Coleman still is officiating. He officiated the Tuck Rule game, which is like 17 years ago, and I don't know how that man still officiates football.
Well,
Like,
when you're a full-time ref, I mean,
True.
shit, I would. That's not a market. I mean, that's not a gig that you just want to walk away from.
True. But yeah, I completely flipped my take. That's a big freaking deal. Like
Oh yeah.
Because, yeah, if you think about it, so there's 17 refs that they can use. So now there's going to be only 13 that they can choose from. So, yes, this is definitely a big thing. All right. All right. I'm glad that we were able to talk this out. Because I was like, what, 4 new officials out of the 100? I'm
Yeah.
like,
No.
okay. So, yeah, so they must have 17 different crews. Then if they have 17 refs, that means they must have officials for all, like, you know what I mean? They have to have the side judge, the back judge, and all that.
Yeah, that's all.
Yep.
All those guys want to become a referee. They all want to wear the white hat.
So I'm assuming they must have promoted some officials to referees.
But yeah, it's a first.
Sure. Yeah.
They're rookies. They're
absolutely.
It's in the eyes of the NFL, they're virgins.
I just like your interesting terminology on that. I don't know. I'm not hating on it. I just think it's an interesting way of putting it.
But in the NFL, in the eyes of the NFL, that's how they're viewed as.
Yeah, they're new. They're new at the position, which they are. Like it's like they've never been a referee in a game. They've only been all right. Okay.
I'm just giving it to you in layman's term. That's
No,
all.
no, thank you, because it took a little while for it to
You're
click.
you can get all into this, scientific and all the smart ass crafty shit, but me, just give it to me lame terms, and I gave it to you lame terms.
No, thank you.
But yeah, we're talking about the white hat guys, the guys that when you make eye contact, when they make flags called, and they're talking to the audience and whatnot, those guys.
All right. Yeah. No,
So this is what we're coming into, is that not only do we have 4 brand new officials, referees, whatever you guys want to call them, just know that it's the guys with the white hats. They now have to decipher the whole helmet rule.
yeah, it's a very
And we have veteran officials going, well, we don't know how to call that.
It's a very difficult rule. I don't like the direction it puts the league in, and I think it's really just kind of been like a snowball coming down the hill, and it's just gotten bigger. And I think we're reaching a point where it's going to really start affecting the game.
Well, that's my point, because I can give you a case. Well, I'll give you a case. You have the Carolina Panthers. We'll say they're playing Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Shotgun formation. Cam Newton takes the snap. It's a quarterback draw. He runs up the middle. He's running about 7 yards. Middle linebacker will say Luke Kuechly is coming up to tackle him. Now, Cam... Oh, I'm sorry. They're playing... Oh, Jesus Christ. They're playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's inside backers coming in, hitting Cam. So Cam goes to tuck the ball in and to brace himself for the tackle. That can be called for a flag now.
Yeah, when you like... I know what you're saying. There's like it's almost like a reflex for runners to kind of lower your head to kind of brace for the impact. And that could be a penalty. And when you even tackle, when you're taught to wrap, you're supposed to kind of like put your head to the side. It's like not like putting it down
Your
to
head
spear
up,
someone.
your head up with ball, your head towards the ball, because you're trying to cause a fumble.
Yeah.
Plus, it's for player safety as well. You don't want to spare. That's a flag. Plus, you'll break your neck like Ryan Shazier and not walk again unless you have millions and millions of dollars.
Which
and
he
you
does.
can rehabilitate, and now, like Ryan Shazier, he
Yeah.
can walk. But anyways, go
Um,
ahead. You were right.
but yeah, I mean, I think there's just a lot of routine plays where there's not malicious intent to like use the helmet as a weapon that could be flagged, and that's like that is the fabric of the game. The fabric of the game is like plays like that. Running backs are supposed to lower their heads to like lower their shoulders. That's just how the human body works. You have to kind of like lower your head a little bit to kind of get square your shoulders to like, if you're trying to truck someone. That's just how it works. And the thing is that you can say what you want about this ruling and like in player safety and whatever. The bottom line is these guys have been playing ball since they're 8-9 years old, probably some even earlier than that, and they've been taught to play a certain way. And now the league is saying you have to throw all that out the window and you have to play differently. And that's just like that doesn't work. You can't just like reteach somebody how to do their profession
But it's not just that. It's these refs aren't gonna. This rule is going to be deciphered in varying degrees.
Oh, absolutely.
Because here's another one. And only because I fudged the last one. You have Odell Beckham running a corner route from outside in.
Yep.
Okay? He catches the ball, and in his peripheral, he sees Earl Thomas coming down. So with Odell Beckham, with that second, he's catching the ball, and he tucks, and he's bracing himself for the hit because Earl Thomas is making a beeline down to him.
Yeah.
Now, it's nothing malicious. Earl Thomas is tackling him cleanly as a defender could be. But because Odell Beckham braced himself and tucked his neck in and tucked everything in, Odell Beckham can get flagged because he's using any part of the helmet in a... what's the wordage they have it over there?
Let me find it.
It's not malicious intent. It's any part of the helmet. It can't be used in a tackle or in against an opponent.
I'm trying to find the exact language.
But what we're saying is now even when the offensive person catching the ball, running with the ball, bracing themselves for contact with a defender can be called on a flag now.
So, all right. So this is how the rule changed. So it used to be that it was a violation for unnecessary roughness to, quote, use any part of a player's helmet or face mask to butt, spear, or ram an opponent violently or unnecessarily. Now they changed it, and all they did is they cut out the last three words, violently or unnecessarily. So basically what it says is that you can interpret the old way of saying if you're like spearing somebody and launching yourself at them, that's a flag. All right, that makes sense. Now it just is like if you are using your helmet in any way to butt, spear, or ram an opponent. So like that just happens unintentionally.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing is now you're going to have, especially full circle now, we're going to have these 4 new refs, the guys with the white hats controlling the whole game.
Yep.
They're going to decipher this, and we can have a situation where week 16, week 17, we have Carolina versus the Saints, and in that same instance, we'll have Cam Newton rips off a 45-yard run on a quarterback draw. Now, because of that, he was in field goal range, but because he braced for contact, they get flagged for 15, pushes them back out of field goal range, and then we'll say they go 3 and out because Cam Newton, trying to be Superman, throws the ball all 3 straight times. Now they're out of field goal range, and then in return, Drew Brees comes, closes the game out, first down.
Yeah.
They don't even score any points. Boom, Saints win the division. Cam Newton and the Panthers don't make the playoffs, all because you can point to that one play and go, well, why was that a flag?
Yeah, and I know I think Mike Freeman used kind of like he used like a similar example, I think, in the article that like the one you're saying. But see, I think it's gonna come to a head way before that. I think it's like 3 or 4 weeks in a season, like it's something's gonna have to give because I don't see how this is sustainable. Like the bottom line is that I think the NFL just doesn't know what they're doing because the bottom line is the league got caught covering up the fact, like they were covering up concussion stuff. So they're compensating 8-9 years down the line for the fact that they knew that there were problems and that they were withholding it from the players, and they got caught. there is no trust with the players in the league right now. Like, obviously the players don't trust the league because they showed they can't be trusted. But the league is basically trying to compensate for all that because they don't want to get sued because they know that they look bad, and they're trying to change all these rules. But you can't change rules like this and just, like, the game is violent. That is the purpose of the game.
That's the whole premise.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like full contact sports like are inherently violent. Like, you can't change that without, like, changing the fabric of the game. It's just it's
I
crazy.
know you were talking earlier about having NFL or even just football as in general dying out, but I feel there's too many traditionalists out there that won't happen.
Yeah, there's definitely certain parts of the country, Texas, Pennsylvania, Florida, and a lot of, like, low-income neighborhoods where, like, football is a big deal. I mean, I think for, if you want to talk from a socioeconomic perspective, there's a lot of people who live in, have rough upbringings, and football is the way they get out of the neighborhood. You talk to,
What makes football unique is that there's 53, well, in high school and peewee and whatnot, it's a certain type of brotherhood that's formed, unlike baseball and basketball and whatnot.
Yeah, because it's like combat because it's so physical or whatever. I mean, I think there's
one guy can change the outcome of a basketball game. One guy can change a team makeup in baseball. Football, it's 11 guys.
Yeah.
You have one great guy at one position. I mean, yeah, that's good, but I mean, does he play defense too?
True.
Does he play special teams too?
That's true.
That's what makes football unique is that it's 33 guys. I mean, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, 11 on special teams.
Yeah.
It's a third. And you're right. I mean, they're changing the special teams. They're changing the kickoffs.
Yeah.
So you have that issue that the NFL.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
Exactly. You have the NFL trying to fix that. You have the NFL changing helmet to helmet and the wording on these rules. At a certain point, you're right. The game's going to evolve, and we're going to look more like, college basketball, where it's like 62 to 57, or like arena football,
right?
Where it's like touchdown after touchdown. I mean, I know points score, but traditionalists in football will tell you 100% of the time they would rather watch a 17 to 13 game because defense matters too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I could care less if. See, that's why I don't really watch college football because, I mean, 50-something to 40-something games, I mean, that doesn't excite me. It really doesn't. Give me a game where I can watch 21-17. I'll take that.
See, that's why I felt like, and it's not just because my team lost, it's just I didn't think this year's past Super Bowl was that great of a game because there was no defense. There was one defensive play in the game where they strip sacked Brady.
Well, and defense stood up after
yeah,
time.
And they did. But, like, at the same time, like, he threw for 500 yards. Foles threw for 400. Defense basically didn't exist most of the game. But I don't think the league sees that as a bad thing because I think there are a lot of casual people that want to watch big plays and whatever. And, yeah, I don't know, man. I just have I have a really hard time of just seeing this last. And it's not because I don't want it to. Like, I love football. I have a lot of, like, nostalgic memories. It's something that me and my dad bonded over when I was young and, like, still do, like, watching the game together and, pulling for the Patriots and such. I love the sport, but I just feel like we're hitting a crossroads where they're going to just take the spirit out of the game. And on the flip side, people aren't going to want their kids to play because you have stories like that quarterback from Washington State, who committed suicide, and they looked at his brain, and his brain was like equivalent to that of a 70-year-old. And I think the problem is that this has been a problem that's been going on. It's an issue, and the league covered everything up. So they could have, if the league had come clean in the early 2000s and said, we have a head injury problem, yeah, it'd look kind of bad, but they might have a better way to treat it now. There's, like, no way to treat it. There's no way to diagnose CTE, which is the common head injury, until you're dead and they check your brain matter. Like, you can't solve a problem unless you know about it. And, like, we have a lot of smart people in medicine in this country who I think could probably find ways to work with this problem, but, like, they're behind because they didn't know about it. They weren't allowed to talk about it. So, I don't know, it's tough. It's tough to,
decipher in one off season.
Yeah, and it's just a lot to think about because it's like we're going to talk about more things like about this upcoming season, and it's just like
Just giving you guys a little bit of reality.
Yeah, and it's just like all that stuff kind of goes out the window if like the game just isn't what it was. Like,
well, the thing is bigger media outlets and whatnot, they don't want to talk about it because there's no money in it.
It's true.
There's no money involved. People don't want to listen to that.
Yeah, it's like I think it's a touchy issue with a lot of fans, because I think a lot of people have the emotional connection, like I do, and they just like to watch it. They like watching the physicality. They like watch, it's a pastime and it's something they've grown to love, and they don't want to hear about the negatives of it. And like I understand that, but it's like you have to just be like a realist at times and just be like, there are issues at play here, and like if they aren't resolved, if the grading of the product on the field, like, with this helmet rule potentially and the kickoffs and stuff, if the game changes like that, it's not going to be the same thing. And on the flip side, if like people aren't playing, then the talent pool isn't going to be what it was. So it's like a really interesting discussion. I could go on about this forever because I think it's kind of fascinating. I've listened to a lot of different things. Chris Borland, who used to play for the 49ers, who retired after that 1 year, I've heard him on a couple.
He was a huge talent too.
Yeah, he was gonna replace Patrick Willis. He had a really good season. But I've heard him give interviews on a couple different things, and like, just listening to these guys talk about it. And he's even a guy, like, he just straight up says, like, I don't hate football. I don't want it to go away. But he says but the fact is that like we can't keep doing what we're doing. We have to change. Like there are things that have to change, and like, I don't know. I definitely recommend just listening to the stuff he says. He's really well spoken. And again, he's not like a guy who's like, I hate football, I hate what it does. He just like really thoughtful about it. So it's just interesting to hear that.
Well, to peel away from the philosophical stance on the NFL and whatnot, definitely check out the article from Bleacher Report that we told you at the top of the news situation. Go ahead, you have the name right?
Yeah, it's titled New Helmet Rule Could Make NFL Unrecognizable. Mike Freeman came out June 29th. Definitely check it out. Very good read.
Now, we reached out to our listeners earlier in the week to get some questions, and some people have broken fingers, I guess, but we have 3 questions that we have on top, so let's get to it. One of them was the Dez Bryant and where will he end up?
We've talked about this a little bit, but I think it's definitely good to revisit because it's
he's the hottest name still
and
out
it's
there.
and it's basically July tomorrow.
Nobody wants to talk about DeMarco Murray, he's still out there too. Running back lives matter.
I forgot about that, that he was just floating around.
He's still out there. Hey, come on, that's an ex-Cowboy. I keep tabs on all my Cowboy guys.
Well, both of them are, you really do. Both of them are ex-Cowboys. So you're
fucking. Sorry.
No, it's all good. We're an explicit podcast. It's fine.
So Dez is still out there, and listen, he's in top shape. He's still young at heart. He's gonna go to a team that not just wants him, but he wants to play for, and he's gonna want to agree on terms, probably like a 1-year deal. That way, he can cash in on the next free agency market. So a team that I can see, quite honestly. I'm going to say the Titans.
I can see it. Because I think they have like a lack of that big body guy. Like, they've tried to implement over the years. They had Dorial Green Beckham, who I think they traded to Philly, and he just like fizzed out. So they've tried to get that big body guy in there. I can see it. It's another veteran dude. Like they had different makeup and body type, but they had Eric Decker in there last year. So they kind of want like a veteran. So I can see that. A team I remember I heard chatter between him and the team that I didn't really understand because I don't think it's a great fit for him was Seattle. Because I don't think he fits
they just signed Brandon Marshall.
Oh,
2 weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah,
so that's all. Change your answer.
Yeah.
It.
I was gonna say it.
Quick, hurry up.
Let me think.
All right, as you think, the reason why I think that Dez Bryant will fit in Tennessee is because Mariota hasn't really had a red zone threat like that.
True.
And I think Dez will help Mariota bring a different element into that offense with Henry taking over the helm because, as we said, Murray is gone now.
Yep.
So now you got Henry and you have Dion Lewis now in the backfield. So you have those gadget guys, and I think Dez will bring that veteran leadership and be a nice red zone threat because they just drafted Corey Coleman, right? No.
Oh, Corey Davis.
Corey, thank you. Last year in the first round. So he's a wide receiver that's going to spread over the top, which will help Dez work underneath and just give him the ball in space and out-muscle these defenders. So I think that presence will help Mariota. And that's why I think Tennessee would be a good fit for him. But how about you come up with an answer other than Seattle?
I'll stay in the division. How about Jacksonville? Jacksonville, if you look at their receivers, they lost.
Do they got the money? I don't think they got the money.
Yeah, but how much is he going to sign for? Give him a 1 year, I don't know.
You got to give him at least $5 million.
I don't know what Jacksonville's cap is. I just think at what point is he going to have to cut his losses and just and just take
I don't see him signing under $5 million.
I don't know. I mean, it depends how desperate things get. I mean, it depends how long this goes on for. Because I think
guess.
but just cap aside, I just think Jacksonville.
Cap aside?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. But, like, if they do have the room, why I think it would work is that it's kind of similar to Tennessee. They don't really have a big red zone threat. Their receivers are really thin. I mean, they re-signed Marquise Lee. They signed some other no-name guy. I'm really annoyed that I don't remember his name. Moncrief from the Colts. Like, if you look at their receivers, they're just really just unimpressive. Who did they sign at tight end now? I think pissing me off. They signed Austin Sperry and Jenkins at tight end. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
You got a guy who has some skill there. He definitely shined a little bit with the Jets. So you have him, but I just think they could use another guy, another smart guy. I think, again, you look at a team like Justin Blackman was a guy, a big body dude they tried to get work who had a lot of.
That feels like lifetime ago.
God, that was. You know what's funny is a small sidebar. I was on Reddit and I was on the Patriots page and they were doing they were showing something like they're counting down to like the season. They were showing a play. And it was from 4 or 5 years ago when he was in the league. And, like, like CBS has the bar on the bottom, like the ticker. Yeah. And it was him. It was like 11 receptions, 160 yards, and a touchdown. And I was like, shit, man. I was like, I forgot, like, how skilled that guy was. And it's a shame that his demons were, I don't know, kind of caught up to him like that. But
well, that can be the downfall of people is, demons catch up to you.
Yeah.
You can't ever outrun your demons.
He has substance issues. I know at least alcohol. I think there were some drugs. But anyways,
well, especially in that time frame, marijuana was that's a frown. So it still is in the NFL today. But
yeah, but socially.
But yeah,
I mean,
I know you don't have the numbers and you're trying to give Dez a home, but to be honest, I really don't see Dez being that. He's not hurting for a job. He just, honestly, I don't think he wants to deal with minicamp and all that stupid shit.
I get that.
I just, as a veteran, he's done that once or twice. He's all set. He keeps himself in world-class shape. Will he know the ins and outs of a playbook? No, and has never been Dez.
Jacksonville has $13 million cap.
All right.
I don't know how, but they do.
All right, so we'll play with this. We can play with this. So I just, still with that being said, I still just don't see Dez wanting to work in the mid-sun day in and day out.
Yeah, it's like we don't know what's going on. Like, we don't know if he, like, I mean, Schefter and Rappaport, those guys are really good at getting the rumors around, so I think we would have heard something. But yeah, I mean, at this point, he could very well just be like, screw it. Like, I'm just not gonna, I'll show up at camp.
Because let's be honest. I mean, do you want to work outside in the midday heat summer, July, August, or do you want to work out inside a ventilated, controlled environment that's an indoor facility?
True. And plus, even if you show up halfway through camp, that's like half of the crap you have to deal with.
Because Dez has never been a cerebral wide receiver. He's not gonna outmind you. He's not gonna outthink you or fuck your mind. He's just gonna run his route 1, 2, 3, and he'll beat you physically.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. You can't change who he is and what he is. He's a receiver that's physically gifted, not mentally. And it's no slight on his IQ or his upbringing or anything like that. But let's just not forget what brought Dez to the NFL. And what brought Dez to the NFL was his physicality.
True.
He will outmuscle any cornerback, any safety. I don't care. Put him up. Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, physically gifted guys. He'll outmuscle him.
No, definitely.
And that's what Dez is. And I don't think that he's lack or having trouble finding a job. I just think he's picking his time, and when the time comes, he'll sign.
I guess my cop-out answer to this would be whoever loses a wide receiver first in camp is going to go for him.
Yeah.
Which would fit everything. He shows up halfway through camp, doesn't have to deal with half the crap showing up and whatever, gets a home, gets a little bit of money, and then a team feels a need that crops up.
I will say, after the week 1 of preseason, if he's not signed, that's when I'm starting to worry. That's when I'm going to be like, oh, shit. What's he waiting for? Because there is no way you can join a team in week 3 of preseason and expect to be 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah, and I don't even know if he's going to, wherever he ends up, I don't know if he's going to be 1,000-yard receiver anyways, because I don't know if a team's going to ask him to be that. You know what I mean? Like, if he goes to Tennessee, he'll be an option, but they have Delaney Walker, they'll have Davis, they'll have him.
Ooh, thank you. Delaney Walker. That was the guy who said they wanted Dez. That's why I was like, when I said that, I was like, there's a reason I said Tennessee. I don't remember why I said Tennessee. That's why. Delaney Walker was quoted. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Little
slow on
spitballing.
a little slow on the uptake. It's all right. It's been a while. Yeah, I can. But yeah, no, I can see it though. Like I can see that because you have him, you have Davis. You know, if he can stay healthy, I think is a good talent. Do they still have Rashard Matthews? I'm not even sure.
Off the top of my head, I don't know their roster.
I don't know either. Dion Lewis.
We're still in off-season mode too, folks.
True. Dion Lewis would be another receiving threat for them. But you know, if you look at like the options, you're looking at like the route tree. Yeah, you got guys that'll fit
every. This is very limited.
Yeah, but still, he can add another layer to, you know, it's especially if you're not asking him to be the guy, because I still think the guy out there would be Delaney Walker. I think he's, you know, he's a top tier tight end. I think that's who you're going to focus mainly on. But if you're asking him to run, you know, like the 10-yard outs and like that kind of thing, and
in my mind, in my answering this question, in my mind, he was just a red zone threat.
Yeah,
750 yards, we'll say 9 touchdowns.
That's fair. But
because I got to tell everyone, there's only one wide receiver last year that had double-digit touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Can you name him?
Antonio Brown?
No.
Really?
Only one receiver, folks. And guess what? His quarterback got hurt halfway through the season.
Oh, Hopkins?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That is a good hot fact.
Only wide receiver in the NFL. Go ahead, people. Look it up.
That's incredible.
Check on your phones. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. That's crazy.
Yep. So that's why, you know, Dez not being Dez, 1,000 yards. Listen, people. Guys want to talk shit about Tony Romo. And I'm sorry to make this about Tony Romo, guys. But Tony, he didn't make Dez because Dez was uber talented. And Tony was uber talented. It was just a perfect marriage that we'll never see Dez put up 1,400 yards and 16 touchdowns, 14 touchdowns. We'll never see that out of him again. So people's expectations where, you know, Dez, we need 1,200 yards and that's not going to happen no more, guys. That's just not going to happen. Yeah. It's not a perfect marriage. Tony was able to learn with T.O., a big-bodied wide receiver, and when Dez came in, he was able to hit the ground running, sprinting, because Tony was already used to being like.
Yeah.
T.O. and Dez, you can kind of fit the same mold with them receivers.
Right.
So Tony, in that time, Tony was throwing the ball 35 plus times. If you do that with Dez now, it's not his body's not gonna last.
Yeah.
So people's expectations can't be 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns because he's not DeAndre Hopkins, only guy last year to do that. You gotta, I don't know, just pump the brakes.
Yeah.
It's not 2014. He's not gonna give you double digits in 1,200, 1,400 yards.
Yeah. No, that's a fair take all around. I can't really argue with it. Yeah, realistic expectations. So, I don't know. I'll give you props, though, because Tennessee makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, do my job, guys.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but I think that's a good fit for him, and, but it also depends if somebody has an urgent injury, like, if somebody does like a Kelvin Benjamin did a few years ago and blows a knee out.
That's a bitch response.
It is. You know what that is? That's absolutely ducking the question.
What do you want to wrap up with? Anything?
All right, I'll hit you with one. So I was listening to the Ringer NFL show, and they were talking about
The Ringer?
yeah,
What's that?
Bill Simmons' website. It's cool. I like
Who's
it.
he affiliated with?
Well, it's like their own thing, but I think they are affiliated with SB Nation.
Is that?
It's online.
Oh,
It's all online stuff. Anyways,
well, my whole thing was like, not to talk ill, but ESPN, I'm not really.
no, he doesn't work for ESPN anymore.
Oh, good.
It's like it's his own setup.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. So.
But anyways, I was listening to their NFL thing. They had an interesting discussion. I want to ask you. They were saying the best and worst places to be a quarterback right now in the league. So they did 5. I'm going to say 1. What's your best and worst place if you're not just forget about who the quarterback is, but if you were a quarterback in the league, where would you want to go and where would you not want to go?
Where I want to go? I mean, I'm going to say I want to say Minnesota, but I just like you got Cook coming off an injury, which gets me nervous. Solid O-line, extraordinary defense. You have talent on the outside. You got, I guess best case would be Minnesota. I'm just not a fan of playing Aaron Rodgers twice.
Yeah, understandable. It's a good answer though.
Yeah, I just, that's my best case, I guess. For worst, huh? Worst. Oof. I'm sorry, guys, for delaying. I wasn't ready.
I
wasn't ready.
I'll give you my best.
Well, right off the top of my head, I want to be like Cleveland, but like,
no, I don't.
That's just years of bottom barrel shit.
Yeah.
But right now, if the one off season, I mean, that's probably an offense, and if not Minnesota, I mean Cleveland. You got Duke in the backfield, a solid O line,
Landry,
Flash, and Landry,
and Coleman.
And Njoku,
yeah,
who just was able to get a bear this year. He was 20 years old when he was drafted last year.
Yeah,
there's my pick
upside.
is still Minnesota. Give me your best case. So as
my best would be the Rams, and they.
Rams.
Yeah, man, that offense is so much fun. Like, look at what you've got. You've got Gurley, you've got Cooks, you've got Woods, you've got a good defense. They just bolstered that secondary. Like, I don't know, man, and it's just an exciting, McVay is an offensive. I don't want to say offensive genius because he had one good year. I want to see what he does this year, but it's obvious that he understands how the game is played nowadays. And I don't know. And you look at that division, like San Fran's on the up and up a little bit. Seattle's kind of a mess. Arizona, I don't think it's going to be anything. So that division play is even a little bit of an easier road than say with the Vikings. I don't know, man.
I like the Vikings wide receivers better.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wrap my head around it. Adam Thielen was a top 10 receiver last year. It doesn't compute in my brain. I know it's true. It's just hard for me to comprehend.
Why? Because he was undrafted?
Yeah, he's just it's Adam Thielen now. You know what I mean? Like
Miles Austin was undrafted.
It's an interesting.
He made the Pro Bowl.
No, I know he was. He was
a top receiver.
Yeah, it's just it's hard for me to wrap my head around it, and but yeah, I mean you can argue it. It's I don't know. I just like that setup there. I think offensively, I think Gurley is one of the most exciting players in the league right now. I think you've got solid receivers. The only thing is I don't know about tight end. It's the only thing that I can really. But Gurley supplements. He's like Le'Veon Bell. He supplements in the passing game. You have Cooper Kupp, who was a solid receiver last year. I just think it'd be fun. My worst.
Let me tell you mine first.
Go ahead.
Mine would be the Jets.
Jets.
Yes. Because besides Robbie Anderson, what do they got?
See, mine's Buffalo.
Yeah, but at least you have LaShawn McCoy.
True. But like.
And you have a solid defense. And a solid offensive line.
Yeah, but Buffalo's a tough place to play quarterback in because the weather sucks too. Like, and it's not like. It's like your team is okay. Like, they made the playoffs last year. Like, they've got some upside.
If you're making elements, I mean, yeah, I mean, it fucking snows in July up there. But like,
something tells me that isn't true.
But like, yeah, sorry guys, just my fisherman tail. It was this big. Yeah, I would just go Jets because I'm just football aspect, not even Mother Nature. Like, what weapons do the Jets got besides Robbie Anderson?
It's true. No, I buy that. I mean, my thing with Buffalo is
and I gotta play Tom Brady twice.
True.
I mean, shit. I'm already battling Aaron Rodgers twice. I might as well battle Tom Brady twice.
I guess my whole thing with Buffalo is I don't know what Kelvin Benjamin is. I'll give you LaShawn McCoy because I like LaShawn McCoy. I even like Charles Clay to a degree. But after Kelvin Benjamin, what the hell do you have? You got Zay Jones and then just like arena football players all behind that on the depth chart. And the thing is, I don't know what is Kelvin Benjamin like. He had a really good rookie year. The dude's like put on a lot of weight. I don't know what kind of shape he's in anymore. Like, he looks more and more like an offensive lineman every time I see him. And like, you know what? If he makes it work and that's the weight he's comfortable playing at, fine. But like, I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be a tough situation, especially when you have Josh Allen stepping in there as a rookie.
You know what's funny? We both picked the AFC East.
Yeah, it's also Josh Allen didn't go there. Did he? I'm trying to.
That goes to a test about that division.
Yeah, man, I'm a Patriots fan. I understand what my division is. I'm not gonna defend it.
And you know what? You know what's funny? We both picked the NFC for our best case.
Yeah, because the conference. That's gonna be such an exciting conference.
Oof, the NFC is just stacked.
I think my runner-up team would be Miami too.
For what?
For worst place to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah. They signed Albert
Well,
Wilson.
no, you know what? You're putting Mother Nature involved, so, fuck it.
Oh, yeah, because
beautiful weather.
I want to go out. I want to go out there in September, 90 degrees, full humidity, and throw to freaking Danny Amendola in this fat contract. No offense to Danny, but like, God. And then what do they give? They give Albert Wilson like mad money too. Like really, if you didn't live in Kansas City, who the fuck is Albert Wilson? Like, who is he? Like, yeah. I only know who he is because like I follow the game pretty closely. But like to a casual fan, they're like, did they draft this kid? Where did he come from? Yeah. Why is he making all this money? Like, those are the questions you ask.
And that's why teams are in casualty form, because they give tons of money to guys that don't really produce.
Yeah, it's. Putting yourself in cap hell in modern NFL is like an art form. It really is. It's fascinating. And you know what, though? You go through the first day of free agency and you understand why.
So I got Minnesota. You got the Rams. Worst case, both in the
anything
AFC East.
Just to say anything that isn't the Patriots in the AFC East just isn't good.
Well, yeah. I was trying to put a spin on the Dolphins, but no, I can't even do that.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself because
I think steam's coming out my ears right now.
Yeah, it looks like you look very flustered, but I don't know, man. It's about all we got at this point. We've been talking for a solid hour, but we'll be back in a few weeks. You know, training camp is the end of July. It starts.
I got softball to play.
You do. You have a lot of diamonds to tear up and a lot of strikes to throw. Hopefully you throw a lot of strikes, or else
Past few weeks I've been struggling.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Don't get the yips. You end up throwing the ball.
I got clocked. That's why.
Really?
Yeah. And my pitching hand, I got clocked. So what people don't know is like, yeah, it's slow pitch softball and blah blah blah, but it's ultra competitive. ultra competitive.
Tom, if there's one thing I've learned since I've known you is that you're ultra competitive about everything. One of my goals in life is to play a Monopoly game with you because it'd be awesome.
I don't play Monopoly. I really don't.
You should because
I'll play Risk. I like Risk.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry. Yeah.
Fair
But
enough.
anyways, I got clocked, especially with that being said, in ultra competitive in softball is there's a certain amount of home runs you can hit. And after that, guys who tend to hit home runs will just shoot box. And for people who don't know or think that's a sexual term, it's not. Shooting box is just you set yourself up so you hit the pitcher. You hit the ball to hit the pitcher. And because it's slow pitch softball, you can set up your body. It's not like baseball. Baseball's a lot more reaction. You know, you got a ball coming at you at 90 miles an hour, and you just, boom, you know, wherever the ball's going to go, you can only dictate so much. But in softball, especially slow pitch with men, you can set up your feet, set up your body, and then by the time the ball gets to you to hit, it goes wherever the hell you want it to go. And needless to say, I got clocked right in my hand. So ever since then, the past few weeks, I just been throwing balls and walking motherfuckers.
That's some devious shit. Just
Yeah.
like set up to hit the pitcher. Like that's
yeah.
some Machiavellian shit.
Well, that's slow pitch softball.
Damn.
So,
That's cold.
But I love playing.
Yeah.
I love playing.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's always been it's been an adventure this spring trying to organize days because you play like every day but two
Yeah,
and then
5. I play 5 days.
yeah. Hey, you know what? That's your thing. I respect it, and I respect the fun uniforms that you have.
Yeah, well, that's part of the softball. I mean, the guys like to be very creative when it comes to jerseys.
Yeah.
What I'm wearing right now, just so you guys know, is Drake. You know, everyone knows Drake. His owl, the OVO owl. Yeah, the tourney team decided to wear that with the Oregon Ducks wings chest plate. So it's quite the combination, and it's orange and silver, so I stick out, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Like, I'm wondering if you're gonna go direct traffic after we're done.
Yeah, I'll be a cone. I'll go sit in the middle of traffic. I'll go be a cone.
All right, I think we're about wrapped up here. But thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Facebook. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. I'm gonna try to get us on Apple Podcasts sometime this summer before the season starts. I will let you know when that happens. But until then,
And as long as I'm still alive, I'll be back.
that's a very existentially comforting thought, Tom.
Well, hey, we're talking about shooting box, so who knows? I just got clocked in my hand, so who knows? I might get clocked in the head next.
It's true. That's true.
Like my cousin.
Ugh,
He got hit in the head. What?
nasty.
But that's a story for another podcast.
Yeah, but
He's still alive.
I hope so. Anyways, Andrew Spaziano, Tom Condi, thanks for listening, and tune in next time. But have a good one. Enjoy the summer, and
Happy 4th of July, America.
Yep, stay out of thunderstorms.